Okay, welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. We're talking Star Frontiers again. This is probably going to be a short one though. My last Star Frontiers video, I was a little bit worried about publishing that one, I got to admit, because I was dealing with guns and gun statistics because of how it related to Star Frontiers rule books. And I thought to myself, this could be a controversial video to post. Now, luckily, everybody's been very open and warm and welcoming about that video, so thank you very much. So I had planned this video to be a counter to maybe lighten things up a bit, because what I'm about to tell you is my favorite story of what happened in my campaign to do with weapons. But not blasters or phasers or anything like that. Not gyrojet pistols like that last video. No. In Star Frontiers, there is a wide variety of weapons, and the one that I think was sort of intended to be a gun that people will use pretty regularly, at least initially, early in the campaign, is the Needler. And the Needler is kind of a neat kind of a weapon, looks very different, very cool, like a pencil sharpener or something. And what it does is it fires out little tiny needles that are silent. So the weapon makes almost no noise at all, except for maybe like a sound. And you have to make a stamina check, and if you fail, then you will fall unconscious for X amount of time. So it's a good stunning weapon, handy for a lot of situations, except for what happened in my Star Frontiers campaign. Now, question to the audience, do you want to hear, do you want to hear me blather on about stuff that happened in my campaign? I did do a video a little while ago of that time the equalizer showed up in my campaign. And I was thinking when I was doing that video, it's very specific to my campaign. Do people care? I try to keep it more the general rules or the general discussion about Star Frontiers at large so that people who are into it will have something to enjoy and reference and maybe use in their own campaigns. But I have so many funny stories, I think, that are in my own campaign that I always thought, man, would it be a bit rude, not rude, but like, am I being self-indulgent if I discuss things that happened in my campaign? Do you want to hear it? Because I've got a lot of stuff that I could share, but maybe it's like, well, that happened in your world, but we can't really use that. I don't know. I'm going to use this video as a test bed. You're probably wondering, where the heck are you right now? Well, we're in a city park here in the city of Port Lorraine on Gran Quivira. And the reason why is my favorite funny thing that happened in my campaign to do with guns happened here in one of the city parks on Port Lorraine. My campaign, my characters were, I think they were on the run from a group of bad guys, space pirates, what have you. And they were meeting with somebody in a park to do an exchange to kind of, either pay some money, get these guys off our back, or maybe get in touch with the Equalizer. It might have actually been Equalizer related now that I think about it. But I remember it was a setup. It was like, okay, we're going to get our guy who works, for the bad guys. We're going to get him to sit at the park bench, and the players are going to approach him, and they're going to make the trade-off, the discussion, whatever it was. And I know it was very much come alone, only one of you has to be there, we will be watching, that type of thing. So I think two of them, I think my players have kind of made a stand. They're like, no, two of us are coming. Deal with that. All right, fine. I can't remember the ins and outs exactly, but I know there was at least a couple of them. And one was going to kind of keep an eye out, and the other one was at the park bench with the contact. And what happened was, unbeknownst to the players, behind some of the trees and the weird butterfly things, the various statues that are in this Port Lorraine park, were henchmen of the bad guys with needlers in hand. And they were all preparing to knock out the players. Because I think needlers are no good against skein suits, which are kind of like bulletproof vests in a way. But because this was in a city park bench area, they had figured, or I think they had required that the players not wear any defenses or anything like that. And it would have caused the local cops to be like, hey, what are you doing wearing that skiing suit for? So they were not able to deflect against the needlers. And so the players are sitting there, the two of them, One's on the lookout. He can't see. I did make him make a roll. Do you notice anything lurking in the darkness as these guys are shooting their needles to knock these guys out? They have failed that observation check. The players, or sorry, the villains of the piece, the bad guys, are now rolling to hit with the needler. And this is the funny part. This is what made me laugh so much. This must have happened to some of you who play role-playing games, whether it's D&D or anything. I'm rolling to hit. The spies or the pirate contacts, they're all in the trees, like, missed every time. And there's like 4 of these guys, like, they continuously missed. And I was rolling the dice, and I'm like, come on, these are stationary targets. This is not that hard of a shot, you guys, and you're decent levels. But they were rolling constantly really too high to hit the players. And so it'd be like, no good, no good, no good. And they're just sitting there having this conversation. And I think the guy on the park bench was kind of like, all right, they should have dropped by now. Let me vamp. Let me keep talking and see if I can make something happen because they're just taking too long with these attacks. And my players were noticing as I was rolling the dice. I was just like, come on. Jeez. They were wondering, why are you laughing so much? I'm like, I can't tell you. I will tell you after this event is over. But it was like the ultimate irony. It was hilarious for me, but not for the players because they didn't know what was happening. But these poor henchmen are sitting there like, would you hit? For God's sake, why am I not making a contact here? So I was laughing my head off. Players were just clueless. And you're probably wondering, okay, what's this got to do with John Wick 2? Because that's what your thumbnail and title are all about, and I don't get it. There is almost this exact scene in John Wick 2. He's on the run, going through a crowd, and one of the henchmen of the bad guys is up on an elevated area. I'm going to show the clip here. And they've got silencers on their guns, and so they're shooting at each other, but they're doing it with, because they're silencers, nobody around them can see it happen. And when I saw the movie, I was like, oh my God, that's the bit in Starfinders. That's exactly what happened to us. I was sitting there trying to hit them with these silenced weapons, and nobody could hear. Everybody around was just aloof. Well, what's going on? I don't know. So again, I'll show the clip again. This bit in John Wick 2, I was laughing my head off because I thought, man, this is like exactly what I encountered in Starfinders, and it made me laugh. I think my wife was kind of like, when we were watching the movie, she's like, what's so funny? I was like, oh, how do I explain why this particular scene rings so true to me? And it was because of Starfinders. So, yeah, that was what happened here in Port Lorraine in one of the city parks, and the needler did not contact. I think they finally got them. I think it took 3 or 4 rounds of combat of constantly shooting and shooting and shooting. A lot of averages. They should have gone down much earlier. But my players were clueless as to why I was laughing my head off. My wife was clueless as to why I was watching John Wick 2 and laughing my head off. And I thought, yes, this is the kind of funny, aloof, weapon-related story that might counter the last one I did. But luckily, everybody was pretty cool with that last video I did, so that's great. So, yeah, let me know. Do you want to hear slightly more related to my campaign stuff? I've got ships that I've made. I've got places that we've gone. I like to think they are sort of funny stories. I don't know. I'm going to continue. The next video is going to be much more any player or any referee group could use this. But I'm just curious. Like, do folks want to hear things that are more specific to my campaign or not? All right, well, I better get out of here because brandishing a weapon here in a city park is probably going to get me in trouble with the Port Lorraine police. So, until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.